enter into the atrium. And at the top, we see Ace at the top of the stairs looking over the atrium as Willa and her guardian are coming in. And Willa is heading up towards the front as another kid is being told, a couple kids are being told next and being ushered along their way. And now it's Willa's turn to come up and find out where she's about to go. And just as she's about to be told where to go, Ace's foot touches the floor and all time stops. The only ones active are the staff and herself. And she's freaking out. It's complete and utter silence, and the staff is just like shocked. She's like, what is she looking at? And so Willa looks around, sees that she and all time has stopped, and she looks over her shoulder and sees Ace. Ace notices that she's active. He kind of holds her gaze for a sec as he walks past, and just as he's about to walk past the guards, all the guards have their hands kind of hovering over their sidearms, and he just kind of gives them a passing glance. And as he goes through the door, Willa's looking over, going, what the? And then she gets yelled at, next! And it's really jarring because all time and sound just floods back at once. Shaking it off, her and her guardian go right on in through the intake, and there's the point of no return, going into the courtrooms. He throws her up against the wall and he starts to frisk her. He's touching all over her. He's just really nasty about it. Very rough. And he hisses in her ear that everything could have been just her last chance, and everything could have been better without, now that her mother's dead, and just hissing in her ear and just being nasty. And everybody's wondering if they should intervene. Just as before they do, he throws her towards the alarm portal, the point of no return. She stumbles on in. She turns around and flips him off as she goes through. Last act of defiance. And then she goes through and she sees courtrooms on either side of her. And she's told just to go straight. So what's right ahead of her is just the door to her courtroom. And as she enters, it looks normal. There's a few kids around, and she starts to take her place up towards the front. As she sits down, lost in thought, wondering what the heck is going on, what's she going to do with herself, just kind of lost in thought. And Ace sits down next to her, plops down, and she's startled. It's like, what's that guy? What the heck? And then she just turns her back on. It's like, whatever. And he stands up. And he heads towards the judge's box. And he goes around, and he looks like he's looking for something. And you can see Willa in the back, wondering, what is he doing? And as he's back there, he finds what he's looking for. And everybody's kind of curious, what is he doing back there? He brings back a treasure chest, and he walks that towards the front. It seems like it's kind of got a little weight behind it. He plops it down in the middle of the floor. Everybody's watching him. He opens it up, and light envelops him. And then he starts to root inside for whatever he can find. He's looking for something specific. He finds his bow. He says, "Fear not, Ranger." And he throws out the club for the barbarian, as well as Ranger, barbarian, the magician's hat. And he's still rooting around for what he's looking for. And then he pulls out the thief's cloak and drops that on the floor. and then he pulls out the Cavalier's shield, and it pretty much drops out on the floor, and that's pretty much where I left off.
Alrighty, I'm on my way to work again, and welcome to day 21. I'm really behind. I think I'm like 2 days behind in my uploads, so I'm just doing my best to try to catch up. I've had a lot going on in my own life, and that's to be expected, but I'm not going to use that as an excuse to slack. So, anyway, I was looking at where I am in the story, and then looking at now that I'm on day 21, I am like really far behind, and I've got 25 chapters to do, at least 25 words to do. So it's going to be interesting. I'm not sure if I'm going to be making it through the entire 25. And yesterday I was having this crisis where I was thinking, well, maybe I should just stop this and then just do one of the short stories that I've already done. Something that's already completed from beginning to end. It just needs maybe a little bit of refining, and I could probably just use some of the images that I have over again. Less of a cast, more drama, different story. And I'm like, I've already put so much work into this. Let me see how far I can get in 100 days. So I'm not going to give up on myself, and I'm just going to keep going. Push on. So I'm pushing on. I might do a lot more work in the living room, working on my... I'm probably just going to get a dedicated book, draw up all the panels, and then kind of like how another person I'm watching, he's got his, and he's doing his at... he's finally getting to the inking of his first few pages, and it's already like day 81. So it's like, wow. So I am far behind, but considering that I had a pretty good jump and I have a really good grasp on how I want the story to go. So it's almost to the point where I don't even need my notes to refer to, but it kind of helps. Let's see. So I've really got to stay focused. I got to find a book that I can just keep jotting my stuff down whenever I have a free moment, and away from the computer. And then when I am away from the computer, I can definitely just go ahead and work it. So I'm using this time to do my voiceovers, and then when I'm, you'll be watching me do the work. So I think I'm going to refine the artwork so it doesn't take so long to draw out. I just got to really simplify my work. And I think I've been a little bit too complex with some of the ways that I'm drawing. It's like I want to create something similar to a Disney anime type of style, but I don't have the Disney anime-ish type style time. The backgrounds are killing me because that's not something that I usually do. So if I can set an establishing shot, I might be in good shape doing things like that. But I'm going to rely heavily on source material. I have to find trees. I have to find ideas for armor, but I still need to keep it simple. It's interesting to be the comic designer and the story writer, because you have absolute and total control, but you also have absolute and total time to work on stuff, instead of having you have one person that's already did the outfits, one person's already done the backgrounds, another one's already doing the inking, the drawing. There's multiple people sometimes that goes into making a book. So the next time I'm looking at a comic book or a comic strip, I am definitely going to pay even closer attention to everything that they put into the book, instead of glossing over just devouring the book. Before, when I was younger, I would just devour comic books. and then I would come back and just savor them. But now I'm at the point where I am, well, I guess I'm pretty much the same way. I devour it, but now I think I'm looking at them more with a critical eye. How did they bring me to this point? How did they evoke emotion at this point? So it's not just for the story anymore or for the pretty artwork. It's definitely how it set my mood, how it goes, how the story goes forward. And I need to be able to convey those same techniques. But what I really need to do is I need to draw. I need to have the time to draw. Right now I am going to be working till 9:30. So I'm going to try to put some time in on the computer as long as nobody's on it. And if I can't get on the computer, I now have my drawing table in my living room. So I can use the living room, draw there, put on some music and just, zone out for about a half hour, 45 minutes, or see if I can push myself through a chapter. Last night I was working on Moo, and I had to really push myself to get as far as I did. It's like I got him to the point where he was bald, and I'm like, okay, I can't just stop right here. I gotta go, keep going. So there's a lot of pushing. Never used to be that rough, but I don't know. I still love my story. I'm still in love with the story and the world. I'm just, I just have to balance my world out in order to make this world come to life. So my plan is I need to see how long it takes for me to illustrate my stories. How long it takes for me to at least do a thumbnail sketch of my stories and then bring it on to the computer. Once I have something to trace onto the computer, it becomes a lot more easier than trying to flesh it all out at the computer. You become part of the good enough school of thought. This is good enough. This is good enough for government work. We're done. But I can't get to that point. It's easier to have something to trace than it is to just do it from scratch. So also I'm thinking about when I get enough money to get enough to buy another pad, another one of those styluses and pads, because it's like I've seen so many people using them and they look so convenient, but yet my hand-eye coordination is having a hard time with the pad that I have. It's got spots where it's been scratched up. It came with a mouse. The pad that I had came with a mouse, and the mouse had no kind of cushion or anything beneath it, so it just kept scratching up the pad. It was the dumbest thing ever. But it also has like these little blank spots in it, so as I'm drawing, my lines aren't going through. So I just went back to basic shapes, and with those shapes I'm able to just manipulate those pretty well and use some of my keyboard shortcuts. But yeah, I definitely need to draw my stuff out so I get a better visual. And then once I have it drawn out and traced, I can always manipulate it where I want it to go. I'm not stuck like in the book. So the book would be my roughs, the computer will be my second draft and final draft. So that's my plan so far. And let's see, tomorrow I've got to work 8 hours, so I'm not going to be able to devote as much time as I want to it. But I don't know, maybe I'll wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and bust out a half an hour or so and see what I can do. So anyway, keep me in your thoughts. Hopefully I can get this done. All right, have a great one, and thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you want to catch the next episode of how far I've gotten and maybe a little bit more about the story. Again, this is Kim Pinkney, and thank you for staying tuned up until day 21. Bye-bye.